Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Irish Warriors MMA show. Today we have Ryan Chaos Curtis. How are you, Ryan?
Good, pal. Good, yeah. Um, every day getting stronger and stuff. So yeah,
The
doing
main
fantastic.
Brilliant. So the main thing I wanted to have you on, I wanted people to hear your full story, kind of from the moment you had that injury to where we are right now, and what's going to happen in the future, or what's the potential to happen in the future for Ryan Chaos Curtis. So tell me, like the day of the injury, you woke up, you went to training. Let's start there.
Yeah, it was just a normal day. I was obviously I live in Dublin, so it was Pat's my coach Pat McAllister. Um, it was his wrestling class on that evening. So I'd normally leave around 3 o'clock or whatever. Play with go collect me, drop me daughter off the school, collect her from school, have a little bit of time for just me and her before I left. Remember, it was just like any other Thursday, and yeah, just normal training session, and the injury happened, and that was it. Yeah, crazy.
And so talk us through like waking up in hospital, kind of you woke up, you couldn't feel anything. What was going through your head for that kind of those first couple of weeks? Were you ever scared? Was there, or was it just a resounding, I will get out of this?
You know what? It's crazy, Dennis. I, honestly, it was like them telling me that I had got a bad flu. I remember just thinking that like that. And I think to be quite honest, truthfully, I think that's why I have recovered the way I've recovered, because I never put the stress on my body. Sometimes because I've been through this journey, I see before and after pictures of people, and the age, it looks like 50 years. But I think that's due to the stress. Stress is really, really harmful for your body. Well, obviously, we're all only human. We do stress. Everybody stresses about one thing or another. But, I've just a real attitude that stress doesn't solve anything. If anything, are only going to make the problem worse. So I literally just never stressed about it. Yeah, it was like they just told me like, oh, you've a really bad flu here, and even though I was lying there paralyzed, I was just so sure that yeah, so it's just time is just gonna pass, and I'm just gonna be back doing what I'm gonna do anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So as time went on, you did recover and you got better. You went over to the US, to Vegas. Was it to Vegas or to Texas?
Texas,
Texas.
Texas.
And whereabouts in Texas were you kind of recovering? Was there a special place there?
Yeah, it's called React over in Dallas in Texas. It is. It's a world renowned gym for spinal injuries and TBIs and kind of neurological problems, stuff of that nature. So yeah, that was a real big help for me. Everybody in the gym was so helpful, and just all the people there were just really great, fantastic people, from the clients to the staff to everybody. It was such a humbling and eye opening experience. Because a lot of the stuff that I was able to do, I was literally the only person apart from the trainers in the gym to do it. I remember I was getting dry needling one day, and in the gym, and the guy, he was kind of just running his separate practice, dry needling, massage, and stuff like that. He was just kind of renting a space in the gym, and he was saying, I've been here a while now, and I've never been seeing somebody with your injury be able to do, like, say for instance, he says you're the only person I've ever seen in here be able to deadlift or do anything like that. Saying like, that's crazy. I've been here a long time and I've never seen anybody do something like that. But of course, when I'm in the gym doing the exercises, it's like, or everybody must just do this. This just must be part of the rehab and part of the curriculum that everybody does. But apparently he was saying now, like, you're the only person I've ever seen do something like that. So yeah, it was a real humbling, eye opening experience being there.
All right, that's quite interesting. And now, next, then you went to Colombia for stem
Yes.
cells. I really want to hear about that. That really took my interest from the stem cells because I saw from the pictures you met some quite interesting people over there. You were Rampage Jackson, TJ Dillashaw, Michael Bisping. Tell me all
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, that's in a place called. That was in a place called Boyo Accelerator in Medellin in Colombia, and yeah, it's such a cool place. You're always guaranteed to meet a lot of fun, interesting people, and it's like it's cool meeting all the guys over there and stuff like some really high profile people and things like that. But I'm such a person, to be honest. I've been in around with a lot of like really high profile celebrities and successful people, and I never really. I think that's why I got along. I got along with a lot of people because I don't care that they are who they are. I just are a good, easy going kind of good person. If you're like arrogant or you think you're anyway because you're a celebrity or whatever, I've just no time for that because I truly believe that you're no better than anybody else just because you fight on the TV or you fight or you do something on the TV. It's just, so I just speak to them like normal. They're just actually all really nice people and cool guys to be around. But there's so many other nice people who you see in the clinic and they're just regular, just normal people, might have like some accident or that just they've suffered with like autoimmune diseases or they've hurt themselves in the gym, so they're just trying to get their life back on track. But yeah, you're always guaranteed to meet some lovely people over there. It's such a fantastic place, and it was so nice when I was over there because it was the first place that I had gone to since the accident, the very first, that was so optimistic and positive. Like the hospital setting was so draining and so depressing, and I was the only one being optimistic about the whole situation. And obviously, more people who knew me from fighting, even some of my family members had said to me, like, after all the fact, I'm gonna be honest, Ryan, like I thought you were done. Like when we seen you lying in that bed and you just couldn't move anything, we thought this is you now. So, I feel like it was only me and a certain number of my friends and the guys out of the gym. Because I suppose when they see it, when fighters know other fighters, they know what they're capable of. But that had been the first kind of positive setting that I had been in a medical setting since the accident had happened, because the hospital setting was very negative and just draining almost.
So the process of getting stem cells, that's something I found a big interest in. You've gotten it twice now. Walk us
Three
through that.
times.
Three times now.
Three,
Three times. My
three
apologies.
times.
Did they? So they took the stem cells from a different party and then they injected them into your spine, or were they from? What's it?
No,
Were they-
they're actually from the jelly around umbilical cords. You can get them out of your arm. I believe you can get them out of your hip and the fast storage in your body. I believe I could be wrong about that, but I believe they're the two places that you can take them from your own body. But I don't believe that that's as effective as when they get them from an external source. A lot of people see stem cells over here in Ireland and in Europe and different places, and it's just not to the same level of it is as it is in South America. Not even close. They're a lot more looser on the laws around them over there. But I truly believe that it's just the medical industry would take such a big hit if they got legalized in different parts of the world. Because even in the States, you knock on the TV and it's two things. It's either they're trying to prescribe you pain medication or else it's suing somebody, which I find hilarious. You see on the billboards over there, or the buses even need to sue somebody, call 1800 hurt or some. It's a crazy, it's crazy, the medical and the legal setting around the world, especially in America, especially in the States.
So did it hurt getting the stem cells? Because I've heard it can be quite a painful process. I remember seeing a video of Sean Strickland getting it done on his knee, and he
Mm.
was in a fair bit of pain. Well, it happened.
Nah, nah, not. And you know what? To be honest, I'm not just saying I get the most extreme one because it's into the spine, intrathecal. But I don't think it hurts one bit. One thing that I will say is you get like a heavy flu for like I would say 3 days after, and it is heavy to be honest. Everything just feels so tight, so it's like your bones are shaking, you know. But that's literally getting it in and stuff is nothing. You don't even really feel it to be quite honest. It's only that flu-like symptom. But from the very first time I've been there, they made that clear that that was going to be the outcome of it because it's such a normal thing that that's the symptoms of it and it is what it is. You just kind of have to deal with it, but the benefits you get from it way outweigh any of that, you know.
And how fast did you start to see these benefits from the stem cells? Was it within a month, within 2 weeks?
No, no. I remember the guys telling me that I wouldn't kind of see this was I got them in July, I believe it was July. I got them in something to that effect, and they take such a decent time to get into your body that they one of the guys was telling me from the clinic that I probably wouldn't see the results till like January. So I'm kind of only really getting the results of them right now. You know, that's another thing that they kind of make well aware. It's not like they just put it into your spine and you jump off the table and start doing front flips. It's just it takes a little bit of time to go into your system. You know.
Yeah, because they're uncultured cells, and they need to was it grow to your body and to your spine.
Yeah, yeah. And
So a big
to be honest, I only understand loosely a lot about them because it's so scientific. I just kind of understand layman's terms of them. You know, I don't understand the intricacies and stuff like that. It's just because they're so in depth and so yeah, it's really complicated what's going on. You know, but I just understand loosely what's happening.
Yeah, I'd have a loose idea. We covered them in the Lehman's there last year, so
Right.
but I nearly failed biology, so I know I wouldn't trust what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
Well, you probably have a lot better idea even than me. You know.
yeah, yeah. So a big thing I wanted to talk about is the situation with the female Bellator fighter. Are you
Yeah.
able to speak on that, even in brief kind of terms, or
Yeah, just legally, I can't say a lot right now about what's going on with the situation. But when things start to get cleared up, like I will be speaking on it, you know, because I get asked that question a lot, and like I said, I just feel a lot of what's happening to me, especially while I'm going through this, is just really unfair and unjust, and you know, so I will make it my business to speak about it. I just can't really speak about it right now as it's going on.
yeah? No, that's understandable. That's understandable, and I believe things are slowly starting to pick up. Kind
Yeah,
of,
well, you know, the wheels of justice are slow to turn, as they say, you know,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
But
unfortunately,
that's the way
but
it is, so
yeah, we
unfortunately.
can only hope. We can only hope.
Yeah. But it will come to light someday soon, you know,
Ha-
definitely. Because, like, as they say, the truth always comes out in the end anyway.
Exactly, exactly. I've spoken to so many different people about it. I was over in Thailand. The guy Connor, the Northern Irish boxing coach, and I
Yes,
was
yes.
talking to him about him. Your one league actually blocked me on Instagram because I was commenting under all our posts, and he got a good laugh out of it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
Connor's the man. But like that, a lot of people know what's going on, and you know, a lot of people in the MMA scene in particular know what's going on, and like that, she's, I suppose, a lot of since the accident has happened to me. To be honest, a lot of people have came up to me and said, you know what, we only ever gave her the time of the day because of you, because we trusted your judge of character, you know, and unfortunately you know, I have to say, yeah, a lot of people who I trusted and who I cared about and who had proven their loyalty to me time and time again had kind of was in my ear saying like, "Oh, I don't really think you should be around her," or you know, I don't really think she's a good person. So I hold my hands up. A lot of it is my fault because I ignored. I didn't ignore them, but I should have probably stepped in on the situation a lot sooner, and it came back to bite me. But look, that's what I always talk about. The best lessons in life I learned the hard way, because it's just for me, like loyalty is such a strong thing for me. And also, when someone is disloyal and do bad things, yeah, it's really not good because I hold it in such high regard. But like I said, a lot of loyal people who had proven their loyalty to me time and time again suggested that I shouldn't be or I shouldn't be around. And I kind of didn't take that advice, so that was my bad. I hold
Yeah.
my hands up for that one. But lesson learned. It is what it is.
I believe Karma got her in her last fight, as we all saw.
Yeah, yeah, big time. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So
I was looking into growing my own businesses.
okay.
I have one of my old bosses and stuff. He's like a really really successful businessman, and he's actually a really good friend. He came over to me in Texas and stuff. I was never even kind of like a boss kind of employee relationship. I was always really close to him, and we always really gelled well. So since this has all happened, he's looking to kind of settle up with other businesses and start new ventures. So he got in touch with me, and like that, we stayed close the whole time anyway, as we always did. And we're looking to build on some stuff, And I'm just looking into like different avenues as well of helping people with their mindset and stuff. That's one thing that I would like, because I was saying to other people, sometimes when you just think the way you think and you could just go through life, you just think, sure, everybody just thinks like this. But so many people tell me every day that they don't think like that and they wish that they could think more like sometimes how I think, which I'd love to help, because I always uh enjoy helping people. And like that, even way before the accident, if someone ever reached out to me and asked for help or advice on things, like, especially with friends and stuff, I was kind of nearly always the friend that they would come to for advice on situations, and much like I would be with them, because I always say it's good to search out outside kind of advice, because it's hard to read the label from inside the bottle a lot of the times.
yeah. So you have a big association with FAI up the north.
Yes,
Recently, there was a big fight with a certain FAI member, Mr. Paul Hughes. I want to hear your thoughts.
be
I was
honest.
more talking about the result of the fight. You were very for. You said you thought Hughes had won that fight.
Oh, sorry,
Mm.
sorry. I thought you were talking about just the other stuff that was going on. I honestly, no question. I think Paul won that fight. No question. Um, was it a close fight? Like, is it like one of them things where you're like, oh, he was robbed? How did that? Oh, boy, I just think with the point, and I just think sometimes MMA is very frustrating, because there's supposed to be, like, especially with all these new rules now, there's supposed to be a clear set rules, and one of the biggest thing is damage and stuff like that. So Paul landed the bigger shots, but Usman was more active, I would say, but more active with like just more tippy tappy stuff, I would say. I don't really feel like any shot at a whole fight hurt Paul. Where when Paul was getting close and he was landing, and when he was putting the shots on him, you could see Usman was definitely feeling the shots. And I had spoke to Paul after the fight and stuff, and we talked about like one of the worst things that happened in the fight was the headbutt, because Paul's plan was to drag him into the fourth and the fifth, and that's when he knew he would fade. And I just really think that upset the rhythm of the fight. And if I'm gonna be quite honest, you could tell by his body language he probably would have quit there and then if Khabib hadn't have been in the corner. He looked like he was looking for a way out in that fourth round, where Paul is standing up, smiling, laughing, everything. So yeah, and then I was saying the pattern, Liam, you can look at user guys' body language after the fight, and you looked at their body language after the fight, and it was clear who really believed that they won the fight. Like the Kazakhstan corner looked very deflated, where the guys were up, upbeat, real optimistic about the decision. I really couldn't believe when the decision got called out, especially with the point deduction. I just thought at the very, very worst case scenario for Paul, I thought it should have been a draw.
Yeah, have you seen actually? So the PFL have been pushing big for this rematch. They've been posting about it a lot. But in an interview, I think it was 1 or 2 days ago, Usman has now changed his tune and he's now saying, "Oh yeah, I'll give him the rematch. I'll give him the rematch." So I think he's had a chat with the higher ups at the PFL and they've gone, "This was a
Yeah.
close fight, mate. He doesn't need to fight anyone else. He needs to fight you again."
Yeah, because I assume they got onto him and says this is the fight we're looking to make next. So now he wants to make it seem like, oh yeah, we want this fight too. But we've seen the videos after the fight, or we've seen the interviews after the fight of you saying, no, no, we need to fight at least 3 or 4 more times to get back. And it's like, yeah, I mean, if I took a beating like that as well, I probably wouldn't be too optimistic about getting back into the cage with that person either. So you can clearly see that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that iconic photo of Paul Hughes just smiling with the blood running down his forehead,
Yeah.
that'll be a staple in Irish MMA for a very, very long time. I think we can start to see the that kind of Russian Dagestani style. We're starting to see a lot of flaws in it, especially with Usman, with Umar now. These guys, they're starting to get figured out because there's so much tape on them now. So people are
Yeah.
seeing where they're weak. What
I
do you
don't
think
really
about
feel
that?
like yeah, I don't really feel like they were the unicorns or these kind of they don't really have, because I feel like what was beating a lot of people for the longest time was almost their presence and the kind of invincibility around them of not being beatable, and then when you see the cracks and you do see people beating them, that's when I feel like other people step up and go, oh, they are beatable. Because for the longest time, people were like, I feel like a lot of even high profile fighters beat themselves before they even went in because they're like, these guys they don't lose. When you have people like Paul, and you can go back, I've probably done some, or speaking to some people, you'll probably get some clips of me. I was saying this months ago. I was saying when all this happens and it's after the fight and everybody's like, "Oh, I can't believe Paul done so well." Like I was saying months ago that it's gonna be no shock that anybody who knew, and we all knew what Paul was gonna do in that fight. So it's no shock. Like it's not like I'm going around going, "Oh, he's done really well," and "Oh, I can't believe he done well." It's like no, I'm not one bit surprised. We all know how good Paul is. Like Paul is elite, like world class level. Like Paul is definitely like unquestionable, like top five in the UFC. Like that's not even debate. And
Yeah.
we was saying that before the AJ fight, because once again, when you know, you know. But understandably, to the rest of the world, and it is understandable, when you don't know, you just don't know. It's like somebody going, there's some kid now in North Carolina and he'd be um Marab or Sean O'Malley, and you're like, oh well, I don't know who he is, but now the world knows who Paul Hughes is. But we always knew. Everybody in FAI always knew, and a lot of people on the scene always knew.
What do you think about that with the PFL kind of in the current situation it is with the athletes not being able to fight as often as they like? I think that's definitely a big one of the key differences with the PFL and the UFC. If the UFC, if you want to fight every week, they can get you on a card every single week. But with PFL, they can only really give you a fight twice a year. Maybe if you're special to them, maybe 3 times a year. What do you think about that? Do you see Paul beating Usman, maybe defending the PFL belt a couple of times, and then going over to the UFC? Or
Yeah.
do you see him?
Because I kind of have one of my really good friends, Craig Oakley. He's signed to one at the minute, and he's having the same problems over there with inactivity, and it seems to be kind of the same kind of thing that they're only getting you out like once or twice a year, which is really not good, you know. But I was speaking to I was actually having a good conversation with TJ Dillashaw about it. And Bisping, actually, I was speaking to Bisping about it as well. I truly believe that the UFC can make it a start, and that's why I always wanted to fight in the UFC. You know, it wasn't about the money for me. I just knew that I had a fan friendly fight style and I spoke well, so and I was entertaining. You know, so the UFC could really make me a star. Where because I think the UFC, with all the promotional stuff and the marketing and stuff like that, they sell the story to people and they make people care about the fighters. I don't really feel, to be honest, that PFL make you care about the fighters. You know, we don't like us as humans. We're emotional, so we want to be emotionally invested in people, and we want to be like relate. You know, because the thing about it is, fighters are not relatable to 99.9% of people. So they want. So the average common person wants to find something relatable with you when you're not on the UFC countdown. You're like, oh, here's this guy with his family, or here's this guy going through a hard time, and we've all have families, we all go through hard times. So I think the UFC are really able to make it connect with the fighters. And I don't believe that as of right now, the PFL have. I'm not saying that they don't have the ability to do something like that. I'm just saying that they don't. You know, it's like you barely know when there's an event on. Where the UFC, it's like yeah, like the UFC is on tonight. I can't wait. So
Yeah.
I just feel like the UFC make it a superstar, and I feel like Paul is a superstar. So eventually, I feel when he takes care of what he needs to take care of in PFL, he will cross over and be in the UFC. That's what I believe.
I think that's a very good point. I believe with the UFC, they take chances with nearly everyone, and they have that financial also backing to push these athletes. I believe it was Cody Garbrandt they invested a couple million into because they quote unquote from I think this is from Ariel Hawani. I'm not sure. They thought he was going to be like Connor. Unfortunately, he
Yes.
wasn't. But they're willing to make ads and do all these promotions for these fighters to bring them up. PFL can't do that for that one financial reason, and I just don't think that's how they've been. They're a different format. They work very differently to the UFC, and I think well, some people think it is unique. I think it's also a big weakness of theirs, and it's something that limits them a lot because we've now seen with that financial issue they're not having so many fighters on shows, and we're seeing guys start to leave. Patchy Mix wants out of his contract, but it James Gallagher has just left his contract. We're
One of the
seeing
Pitbull
some
brothers, I think, was it one of the Pitbull brothers was talking about getting his contract released. Um, yes, I just and to be quite honest with you, I don't like that either because I don't really like the UFC having a hold or a voice on the sport like that. A monopoly. I don't believe that there should be just one organization dictating everything because I've heard of a lot of stories where they probably don't treat the fighters the best, you know, like, and this is people who I personally know, and would be good friends with. Just some of the stuff that's done is, I don't agree with, you know. So I don't, and if you have control of the sport and you have a voice on it, then there's not really much everybody else can do because yeah, like I want to be that superstar or I want to be well known throughout the world because it can change your whole family's life. You can change your life. It can help you promote businesses. It can get your names out there. It can get you kind of into movies. It can get you like really high profile ads and stuff like that. So you kind of just for a lot of the time, unless you just blow up, then you kind of just have to sit there and shut up and do what the UFC tells you, which is not, I don't believe is good for the sport. So I would like other shows and other big um big organizations to happen. It just for the longest time now it just doesn't seem that that's the way it is. You know, because how many shows have tried to go up against them and have failed,
yeah.
unfortunately.
No, I completely agree with you. I think it's so difficult to run a show, and we've seen that time and time again. And we've just seen the UFC; they had to pay 375 million in their
Yeah.
monopolization case, which is huge. But they do 100% have a monopoly, and no one will ever take that away from them. They are
Mm.
such they're so high up. Everyone else can't even catch up at this point.
Yeah, it's and it's like I said, it's unfair. I don't know what the. I remember looking at something where the NFL players, the players get 75%, and then I think it's the NFL get 25%. It is split on things. I could be way off on that, but I'm nearly sure I read something to that case. But it seems in the UFC get 90% of the money, and the fighters only get 10. That's the way it seems, and because you're at the creme de la creme of the sport. Like, if when you get to the UFC, me and Kiefer Crosby, they'll talk about it. When you get to the UFC, you are the 0.0001% of fighters in the world. There's no way that you should be starting off on 12 and 12. Like 12 and 12, like, and you need to bear in mind, you're lucky, so you're fighting the stiffest competition in the world. So now, okay, you get beat, so you only get 12 grand. You get taxed on that. You have to pay your coaches. You might have got like some money for your camp. You're lucky to be coming out with 5 and 6 grand, and that's shocking. That shouldn't be the way it is if you are the elite of the elite of a sport. I mean, if you are an elite boxer or an elite NFL guy or NBA or whatever, like 6 grand, that's yeah. Never in a million years would you get that so little money.
Yeah, and they also the fact that they don't allow sponsors as well, I
Yeah.
think that's such an issue. And I believe I saw something with the UFC contracts. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but they're now entitled to take a percentage of the money you make if you have a business outside the UFC.
Like your normal
Yeah. Uh,
business.
if you own a business, not if you're working a job, but if you own a business, I think that from what I've read, it was part of it was something into a new contract. I believe that was a couple of years ago. It's only I think only 10% or something, but it's if you own it completely, not if you're just an employee. So it's
Wait,
another
so wait, hang on. I'm signed to the UFC, and I just decided tomorrow that I'm gonna start up I don't know, some company, and it's got nothing got to do with the UFC, and I'm selling, I don't know, say I'm selling trainers, runners, they can take 10% of my
yeah,
business.
because your name is connected to the UFC.
Fuck, mate, that's crazy. I actually didn't even know that. That is crazy.
Yeah,
Then
like
see, and this is it. That's the problem with one place holding so much power.
yeah,
Because what are you supposed to do then? Where are you supposed to go? You can go to PFL, but you're probably not getting. Look, you're like I said, they're not selling you like the UFC sell you. So a
yeah,
lot of the time you have to just sit there and shut up.
exactly.
Unfortunately,
I think that that's definitely a major issue with MMA. Speaking of the UFC though, there was an event on last night. Have you seen any of the highlights? Did you watch it? Were you following the event last
no, I
night?
didn't. I was saying to you, I was out washing my dog and stuff this morning, so I actually haven't even got a chat. I actually don't even know who won the fights. Um,
But
yeah, go on, tell
unfortunately,
us.
poor Strickland got his ass beat by the South African man. It
Right,
was
okay.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't a good day for America. It was a very very bad day.
right.
Um, who else was Tatiana Suarez lost to Wei
Oh,
Li. Yeah, which I was very, very surprised about. People
I
were
suppose
really
Riley
thinking
is
Tatiana would come in on win because she was coming from a higher weight class, but she
yeah,
did have
she's
that. I
so
think it was
good.
1 or 2 years off
Right.
from the octagon. But like Wei Li isn't the most active fighter either, so
I
we
know,
don't
but
really.
she's so good at the same time.
Oh man, yeah,
You
she's
know,
just
I say to everybody for whatever reason when I see her hit pads, no mess, she reminds me of Katie Taylor when she hits pads. I don't know why, I just see something in her that when she hits pads, it just reminds me of watching Katie Taylor hit pads. Crazy, she's so good. But so is Tatiana Suarez. Um, and then it's like Duplessis. It's so funny with MMA because I say in MMA, right? I truly believe the the best fight it's 60-40. The better fighter wins 60% of the time, and where other sports like in boxing and like other sports like that. the better fighter probably wins 95% of the time. Cause I mean, if you put them side by side, skill set for skill set, and you look at Duplessis versus like Adesanya, like they're not even in the same realm in terms of skill sets, but for whatever reason in MMA, because he's big and athletic, and because a lot of and how am I to say anything about Duplessis? He's like the middleweight UFC middleweight champion of the world, absolute machine. But a lot of his footwork and his fundamentals are incorrect. You know, like a lot of the time when he's punching people, his feet aren't on the ground. You know, he closes his eyes, throwing a lot of punches a lot of the time, and yeah, just a lot of what he does doesn't make sense. But he's really effective in MMA for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think his style, I don't know, people are just so confused by it because he's just so awkward. He's not like Sean Strickland is awkward. Sean is technical, which makes him awkward. Drickus is awkward for the sake of being awkward. I remember I saw an interview with Adesanya, and Adesanya was getting up, and Drickus just threw so Adesanya couldn't throw himself. He's just in your face, constantly trying to get
Yeah.
at you, which I think is such a key point to him. And then I think the other only fight that people were looking at last night was Ilya Toporia's brother versus Volkanovski's teammate. Other than that, it
Right.
was quite a uneventful card, but Ilya Toporia's brother, unanimous decision, and we beat the crap out of him, which
Right,
is
I didn't actually even know Ilya had it. I think I actually seen in one of the countdowns. It's his coach for the most part, isn't it?
yeah. But
His
people
brother.
were really skeptical about this fight because his brother had such a padded record. All his opponents were like
Right,
0-6 or 2-18 or like 0-0. And people were coming in, oh no, he's gonna lose. But then Toporia's camp were going, no, this guy is nearly better than Ilya himself.
right,
And then he
crazy.
came in, and it's yeah, he was just as good as Ilya. It was very very
Ilya
impressive.
is Ilya is so elite. Like
Oh
that
man,
guy he is the real deal, and he has everything as well. You know, he speaks well, he looks well, dresses well. Like obviously his fight style is off the charts. Yeah, he can be somebody who can be like known all around the world. That guy, he's so good.
I think Ilya has a future to be one of the biggest superstars in MMA. He's just yeah, like you said, absolutely everywhere. But listen, Ryan, that has been 40 minutes. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on. I
man.
really, really appreciate it. It's very nice. I'm very grateful for you coming on today. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Drickus is awkward for the sake of being awkward. I remember I saw an interview with Adesanya, and Adesanya was getting up, and Drickus just threw so Adesanya couldn't throw himself. He's just in your face, constantly trying to get
Yeah.
at you, which I think is such a key point to him. And then I think the other only fight that people were looking at last night was Ilya Toporia's brother versus Volkanovski's teammate. Other than that, it
Right.
was quite a uneventful card, but Ilya Toporia's brother, unanimous decision, and we beat the crap out of him, which
Right,
is
I didn't actually even know Ilya had it. I think I actually seen in one of the countdowns. It's his coach for the most part, isn't it?
yeah. But
His
people
brother.
were really skeptical about this fight because his brother had such a padded record. All his opponents were like
Right,
0-6 or 2-18 or like 0-0, and people were coming in, oh no, he's gonna lose. But then Toporia's camp were going, no, this guy is nearly better than Ilya himself.
right,
And then he
crazy.
came in, and it's yeah, he was just as good as Ilya. It was very very
Ilya
impressive.
is Ilya is so elite. Like
Oh
that
man,
guy he is the real deal, and he has everything as well. You know, he speaks well, he looks well, dresses well. Like obviously his fight style is off the charts. Yeah, he can be somebody who can be like known all around the world. That guy, he's so good.
I think Ilya has a future to be one of the biggest superstars in MMA. He's just yeah, like you said, absolutely everywhere. But listen, Ryan, that has been 40 minutes. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on. I
man.
really really appreciate it. It's very nice. I'm very grateful for you coming on today. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Drickus is awkward for the sake of being awkward. I remember I saw an interview with Adesanya, and Adesanya was getting up, and Drickus just threw so Adesanya couldn't throw himself. he's just in your face constantly trying to get
Yeah.
at you, which I think is such a key point to him. And then I think the other only fight that people were looking at last night was Ilya Toporia's brother versus Volkanovski's teammate. Other than that, it
Right.
was quite a uneventful card, but Ilya Toporia's brother, unanimous decision, and we beat the crap out of him, which
Right,
is
I didn't actually even know Ilya had it. I think I actually seen in one of the countdowns. It's his coach for the most part, isn't it?
yeah. But
His
people
brother.
were really skeptical about this fight because his brother had such a padded record. All his opponents were like
Right,
0-6 or 2-18 or like 0-0, and people were coming in. Oh no, he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose. But then Toporia's camper going, no, this guy is nearly better than Ilya himself.
right,
And then he
crazy.
came in, and it's yeah, he was just as good as Ilya. It was very very
Ilya
impressive.
is Ilya is so elite. Like
Oh
that
man,
guy is, he is the real deal, and he has everything as well. You know, he speaks well, he looks well, dresses well. Like obviously his fight style is off the charts. Yeah, he can be somebody who can be like known all around the world. That guy, he's so good.
I think Ilya has a future to be one of the biggest superstars in MMA. He's just yeah, like you said, absolutely everywhere. But listen, Ryan, that has been 40 minutes. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on. I
man.
really really appreciate it. It's very nice. It was very I'm very grateful for you coming on today. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.